I've been in business since 2009.
Uh-huh.
I came back from my travels, as such, and decided that I wanted to run my own business, and it had to be in photography because that's obviously my passion. The main business in the UK, it's mainly weddings.
Mm-hmm.
I do through IB Imagery. I do weddings and events and portraits,
Uh-huh.
and the sister company is called Silver Wolf Photography, and that is all wildlife, landscapes, and travel photography. So I do lots of workshops. I go to all the game shows and craft fairs and that kind of thing, all around the northwest, and I sell the prints and the workshops. Well, I really enjoy traveling, and at the beginning it was a case of I was going to do teaching English in a different country every year. That was my idea, so that I could travel and do my photography whilst I was working. But I got my first taste of it in Japan, and I realised that I was getting no time to do any photography. It was just work, work, work. So I decided to start my own business in photography and earn enough money to travel to the places I wanted to go to do just photography. It would be in photography, that's for sure. So if I didn't run my own business, then I'd be working for another, probably wildlife or travel photography business somewhere. But it would have to be to do with photography and wildlife, most likely, yeah. In the business, I mean, I'm kind of making a name for myself, I guess, as the one-handed photographer. People don't seem to realise when they talk to me or anything that, obviously before they book me as their wedding photographer or anything, that I've only got one hand, especially with my wildlife. A lot of people don't realise when I'm lugging 15 kilos on my back and there's huge lenses and everything that I'm coping with everything with just one hand. So a lot of people sort of, it kind of shocks them all of a sudden to see that you've done all of this with just one hand and we've got two and we can hardly cope. Well, my biggest weakness, I'm not very good actually at talking on the phone to strangers. That's one of my biggest weaknesses. So obviously you just got to deal with it. Sometimes I'll write a little something of the bullet points that I need to say or anything. Once I know the person, I have absolutely no problem, but it's for me it's just daunting, picking up the phone and just phoning up a company, phoning up somebody and not knowing anything about them. I find it quite daunting and I'll put it off for a bit, and so in that sense it's holding me back because I need to get going. I need to make these contacts. Yeah. My biggest strength, I guess I'd say, is my skill in photography, really. It's my photographs that sell me. I'm a terrible salesperson, but my photographs sell themselves and sell my work. As soon as people see them, they'll either buy them or they'll buy a tour or they'll buy a workshop because they want to take the same photos. They want to learn how to take the same photos. Or I get to sell my weddings because they think this is the kind of photography we want for our wedding. About photography. If it were possible, I'd be sat in a hide all day long taking photographs somewhere, or travelling, taking photographs and that kind of thing. But it depends because, it's, like I said, I run essentially two separate things. The wildlife is one style of photography and it's one type of client, and then your weddings is another style of photography and a different type of client. They both have the different rewards. I love being out in the middle of nowhere doing my wildlife photography, but at the same time, the weddings, as stressful as they are, I love after the wedding when I see what pictures I've managed to take and how amazing, how beautiful they are, and when you give the album to the client and they're over the moon with it, and that's always a really nice feeling as well. Maybe not keep the TV on so much since I work from home. Sometimes it's okay, procrastination basically. Sometimes it's like, I'll just have another cup of tea and then I'll get onto the emails, or then I'll start editing the photos and, just another biscuit and then I'll get on with it and that kind of thing. I'd probably do a lot more if I didn't drink so much tea and biscuits. Yeah. Any future plans? I'm expanding the wildlife photography business. So at the moment I do a few different workshops, but I'm planning on expanding that. I'm looking at doing more workshops with white-tailed eagle and osprey up in Scotland. And I'm planning on doing wolves, lynx and golden eagle and imperial eagle in Spain. So running workshops and running photography tours in different countries. And then further down the line, we've also got the idea of doing them in India with tigers. It's difficult to say really, because running the two different businesses is two different set of ideal customers. With the weddings, my ideal customer really is obviously somebody that likes my style. And when they just kind of go, yes, we like your style, just do it. So my ideal customer when it comes to weddings is somebody who appreciates my work and has trust in me that I will deliver what I've promised that I will deliver. Yeah. And then when it comes to the wildlife, it's basically somebody who enjoys wildlife and photography. And anybody who enjoys that kind of thing is going to have a whale of a time on any of the workshops or tutorials that I do as well, that kind of thing. Yeah. At the moment, when it comes to the weddings, I've got some very good packages. I've got some packages which are about £200 off at the moment, and all of my prices, they tend to be quite low already, very good, already quite discounted anyway. The deals, they tend to come out at wedding fairs. So if you want a good deal on, like, sometimes I'll do different deals at each wedding fair, so it's not the same thing each time. So I'll do, for example, you get a free frame, or you get a free canvas when you book at a wedding fair, or you'll get 10% off any package, or you get £100 off any package. Those are the kind of deals I do at craft fairs and things like that. With the wildlife, that is more, they need to talk to me really, especially if it's prints that they want. Do they want certain prints? If you're only buying one, maybe we can do a deal. If you're buying several, obviously I'll do you a better deal, but that tends to be more between me and each customer. Enjoy. I support the Wolves and Humans Association Foundation, and 10% of my limited edition print gets given to the charity. Yes, there's the Wolves and Humans Foundation. Basically, they work in a way to help large predators and humans coexist. So they find ways to have bears, wolves and lynx coexist with the farmers in the areas in which they live, finding ways and so they don't have to shoot them and that kind of thing.